Starfish Daily.
I can't even tell you how hard the CIA runs the rap game. It's insane. The State Department just recently brought like 22 hip-hop artists from all these different conflict zones. I can walk you through in Bangladesh how USAID was funding rap musicians, reporting back to the State Department about how the songs were designed to create street protests, producing their music videos.
You're talking about ones from other countries right now.
They were also working with USAID to secretly fund the hip-hop movement in Cuba to overthrow the Cuban government through anti-government rap anthems, which is a huge USA.
In this video, see if you can figure out what's real and what's AI. I'm doing wagons again. Is this wagon real? No, it's AI. Is this bridge real? No, it's AI. Which one's real, the tree or the wagon? The tree! Are these a bunch of AI chickens at this chicken coop? They are AI chickens, and it's an AI chicken coop, so it would make sense. Is this wagon real? Or is it AI? It's real. This lamppost? It's real. Look, there's an AI dog. What about this wagon? It's real. Is this bridge real? Or is it AI? It's real! But I added an AI stream.
The real tax on the American people is what government spends. If the federal government spends $450 billion and only raises $400 billion in taxes, who do you suppose who pays that other $50 billion? Do you suppose the tooth fairy does?
But right now, millions of children are still at risk. They need vaccines. So we must continue to support vaccination around the world. And today, I am pleased to pledge $290 million for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Each child should be protected. And more will come. Together with Gavi, we have the goal to vaccinate 500 million children by 2030. Europe will do its fair share. You can count on us, my friends.
In 1999, for 78 straight days, NATO bombed Belgrade. I'll say it again. NATO bombed Belgrade 78 straight days. I'd call that intervention. I would not call that subtle. I would remind people that Belgrade is in Europe. Belgrade is on the Danube. Belgrade is part of Europe. This was NATO. And after 78 days of bombing, the U.S. broke Serbia apart and declared that Kosovo was now an independent country, recognized Kosovo in 2008, as did European countries. And then Europe has the audacity to say, borders are sacred. We can never accept Russia's aggression.
Violation of integrity.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you recognize Kosovo? Thank you very much. And then just an interesting point about Kosovo. Where is the largest NATO military base in Southeast Europe? It's Bondesteel, Kosovo. It's not even an accident. It's not even subtle.
Yes.
You break the country apart, and then you put a major NATO military base, and then with a straight face you say that borders are sacrosanct. If we don't get beyond this level of immaturity, We cannot
Many men want to marry a Balkan girl, but are they ready for that? If you like homemade moussaka, banitsa and kebabchi, come here, baby. If you are ready for a girl who wears high heels and dress every day, even to the supermarket, come here, baby. If you are okay her family to know about the relationship by day 3, come here, baby. And if you are ready to drink rakia with my father, come here, baby. Welcome to the Balkans.
My mom just called me and told me my voice smells really weird and I should change it, but I don't know what she means. I think it's perfectly fine.
Hey, it's Max. Sorry I missed your call. I'll call you right back. But, oh yeah, real quick. If you're a telemarketer or like a spam caller, foul spawn of darkness and deceit, you have reached the threshold of a vigilant soul guarded by the wisdom of ages and the strength of steel. If you seek to peddle lies, trickery, or ill intent, turn back now, lest you awaken the wrath and shall smite your schemes asunder. I am the keeper of this line, and you shall not pass. Leave a message after the beep.
A lot of folks out there have questioned whether or not, after all these years, there was contact that we had with entities, intelligence that was not of this earth, and so forth. We just thought, rather than beating around the bush, let's just say, look, if there's any of that out there, then let's disclose it. Let's make that available, or at least collect it, and then at some point, based upon a commission's review of it, to determine any national security concerns, to be able to share that information at the appropriate time.
What they found, Derek, changed the course of archaeological history in China. Here in this very tomb, they found some of the most precise, most unexplainable artifacts ever unearthed. The other now famous artifacts that were found in this tomb were the bee discs. These discs are flat, circular jade artifacts with a central hole, kind of like a giant flat donut. They vary in size, with diameters typically ranging from 6 to 10 inches. So the bee discs' thickness are remarkably uniform, with deviations of, get this, Derek, less than 0.2 millimeters across the entire surface. Each disc has near perfect circularity, the center is equally precise, and the surfaces are polished in a glossy finish, reflecting light evenly with no visible scratches, even under 10 times magnification. In other words, these discs are astonishingly precise.
These are incredible. I mean, to me, this is the antithesis of lost technology. There's no way you can tell me primitive hand tools made these bee discs.
I totally agree with you.
This is a flexible missile developed by the United States. Its warhead can bend during flight, allowing it to lock onto targets more flexibly and precisely. This type of missile is called a bizarre air-to-air missile. The warhead uses an internal chain-like control mechanism, enabling it to bend at certain angles. Its advantage lies in its ability to change direction extremely quickly. It has greater maneuverability compared to conventional missiles. During supersonic flight, even a slight bend in the warhead can cause a significant change in direction. This is similar to how a car turns. The faster the speed, the smaller the steering angle needed. Additionally, it can preemptively lock onto the flight trajectory of the target. It explodes in front of the target. The explosion releases a large number of fragments to destroy the target.
Lasers reveal ancient settlements hidden deep in the Amazon rainforest. Lasers have revealed a complex network of pre-Hispanic structures and roadways hidden beneath the canopy of the Amazon. At 2,500 years old, it's the earliest and largest example of an agricultural civilization ever recorded in South America's dense rainforest. Archaeologists have been studying the Upano Valley site, located along a stretch of the eastern Andes, for several decades. However, it wasn't until they began viewing the Ecuadorian landscape using airborne LiDAR, in which thousands of infrared laser pulses are reflected repeatedly off the landscape to reveal structures hidden beneath the vegetation, that they realized how elaborate the civilization actually was. Archaeological excavations showed that the site, which covers approximately 230 square miles, was occupied from roughly 500 BC to between AD 300 and 600.
Why is Mithridates so significant in biological warfare of antiquity?
Well, he's interesting to me because he's credited with being the world's first experimental toxicologist. He was very paranoid about being assassinated by poison, with good reason. Not only did people use a lot of poisons in his culture and time, but he himself poisoned almost every single member of his family and many so-called friends and enemies. So he was obsessed with finding a universal antidote for himself to protect himself against all manner of poisons. And he did experiments. Besides carrying out 40 years of war with the Romans, he found time to experiment with all manner of poisons and toxins and venoms and plant poisons and their antidotes. And he came up with a concoction or a recipe that apparently contained about more than 50 ingredients, minute amounts of poisons with minute amount of their antidotes. And Pliny actually saw his handwritten notes after the end of the Mithridatic Wars. So we know that these experiments really did take place and that he really did come up with some sort of universal antidote that he took every day to protect himself. And he lived to the ripe old age of about 73 when everyone else around him has a life expectancy of about 40-something. So he was robust at about 73 years old. Maybe there was something to it. And in fact, modern vaccines are based on taking into your body small amounts of pathogen or a toxin, and then in that manner you become immune. So he fascinates me for that reason.
Espectacular. Hermoso lugar.
Esta arquitectura no se ve en ninguna parte de Perú, según científicos del mundo.
Y las rocas son perfectas, son hermosas, ¿no? Miren,
si tú mides
lajas, mejor que lajas.
Con esto, tal cual.
Todo es exacto.
Todo es preciso.
Pero el nivel de detalle y de minuciosidad a este nivel es espectacular. Wow. Miren el tamaño de mi mano. Estos acá son ductos, ¿no, Babi?
Ductos que conectan, mira. De aquí a aquí y atraviesa todo. ¿Sí?
Probablemente también para poder darle de alguna manera una oxigenación, probablemente, ¿no? Wow, miren. Todos se conectan. Ahí pueden ver, es un sinfín. Babi, ¿podrías meter tu mano, porfa, en el último? Miren, ahí está. Increíble.
You seem like a jackrabbit everywhere I see. I mean, have you just come back from Colombia or something? You're doing a Boogosphere story?
I was in. This is what's crazy, and I know you've experienced, I'm sure, all sorts of stories where like it starts a certain way and then you have another story come up. So I was investigating these Peruvian mummies, these tridactyl, three-toed and fingered mummies from Peru. And then on the way back up to the U.S., I stop in Mexico City to meet with Jaime Maussan, who's a big proponent of this. And 2 days before, he happened to get this Boogosphere sent to him or whatever. And so I happened to be there.
I've got to know, what's your preliminary assessment? Is it real?
It's so hard to say. So Jaime Maussan was given this thing. It was taken in Buga, Colombia. That's why it's called the Boogosphere. It was given by a guy. So this video was taken by this guy who is, I guess he does mining and metal detection underground. And it's a very long, it's a multi-minute long video of this thing flying in the air. You've seen the video. And then he picks it up in the forest, and there is a little gap in the video. So that does beget a question of provenance and why is there a gap in the video? And then he has it for a while in his possession. He ends up giving it to Jaime Maussan. And there are symbols around the top. Apparently it's an aluminum alloy that's, 3 times the hardness of what we generally use in conventional aerospace. And then maybe the most interesting fact I can give you that is new to the audience as well is I showed photos of the symbols to Mario Woods and to Randy Anderson. Mario Woods, 1977 Ellsworth Air Force Base experiencer. And then Randy Anderson is this guy who was taken underground, at Crane, Naval Surface Warfare Crane, and was possibly shown some off-world technology. And both of them freaked out because it was like these were the symbols that they had both seen. Mario inside the craft.
I want to give you something because I'm not sure. And again, I am not avowing that this is my opinion.
Neither of us are endorsing the Boogosphere. We are these are facts that
we're
we are
neither endorsing nor debunking.
That's right.